What is up, mental patients? My name is Tormental, and Overwatch has released their first teaser about Hero 30. Hero 30, something that's been discussed a long time on Overwatch. Well, I guess for a few months on Overwatch. Yeah, so people have been saying we need a tank, we need a healer, we need a tank healer, we need a Talon tank, we need, all these different things. We need something to counter goats. We need something to stop goats. We need a shepherd, basically, is what we need. Someone with just a hook to pull goats right out of the fucking game. But yeah, what we've got here is the first teaser, and as you can see at the top of the image, it says Meltdown, MLTDWN. Now that could just be a very bad spelling of Mountain Dew. I don't know. But I decided to create a concept based on the idea of a Talon tank named Meltdown. Because I saw this posted, and the minute I saw that, all the ideas started flowing, ironically enough, like Mountain Dew. So yeah, let's get right into this fucking design, because you got nothing better to do, right? So here's a bit of backstory on Meltdown, the Talon tank. Meltdown is an Omnic. Meltdown is an Omnic that has a very specific purpose. It was built to handle radioactive material, built to handle nuclear objects. The term Meltdown can refer to multiple different things, but I've chosen to go with the sort of nuclear interpretation, like a nuclear meltdown, in other words. He's an Omnic built to safely escort nuclear items, radioactive material, and dispose of it or deliver it to power plants, different things like that. But of course, Meltdown was taken in by Talon. He was reprogrammed, sort of rejiggered, made sort of into a walking dirty bomb. Because if you think about it, if you're a terrorist organization like Talon, you probably want to get your hands on some nuclear material, some loose nukes. So yeah, they basically reprogrammed Meltdown, took him off of the assembly line, took him off of wherever he was, and now he's like their Talon tank with like this nuclear bomb in his chest, because the chest cavity, as you can see in this image, is where sort of like the nuclear rod, the nuclear core is kept, is held, for transfer. It also is what powers him, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So Meltdown, yeah, basic lore, basic background is that he's an Omnic built for delivering nuclear payloads, and Talon hacked and reprogrammed him. I mean, you could say Sombra did it, because, I mean, you gotta attach your characters to pre-existing characters to make them seem more legit, right? So yeah, Sombra, who's best friends with Meltdown, and, thinks he's really cool, my OC, hacked him, made him into a bad guy. Basic premise. Meltdown's main ability would be a swinging club. Now, if you look on the left, you'll see sort of like a fork shape item. The top of that would close in to form a club. So it would be sort of almost like a mixture between Reinhardt's hammer and Brigitte's mace. It just would be a big swinging object. Now, when you press E, when you use your E ability, the club opens up, as you see in the picture, to become sort of like a vice, like a gripping vice. Now, back when this Omnic was doing his proper job, it was simply a device to pick up and handle dangerous materials, dangerous objects. But now, you can use this vice. When you press E, the club opens up into the vice, and you can grab an enemy in front of you. Now, what this will do is it'll actually restrict them. It's sort of like Roadhog's hook, but with a much shorter distance. It's not going to reach across the map. It would just grab whatever enemy happens to be standing in front of you. For a limited time, you'll be able to hold the enemy in the vice. It would be like a very short, maybe 1.5 second hold. But if you left click while you're holding someone, you actually will throw them backward a bit. So you can grab people with E and throw them with left click. Now, what may happen is, let's say an enemy is ulting. You can grab them with this and sort of like turn them away from your team and throw them over a wall, to get rid of them. You wouldn't stun people. It wouldn't freeze people. It's not a stun lock hero. There's no stunning going on here. Don't worry, everybody. I hate stuns as much as you do. The person you grip with the vice would have full control of their character. They just would be unable to walk around and stuff. You'd be holding them in the vice. They'd still be able to shoot at you, shoot at anybody, do all their, normal stuff. But yeah, so let's say Soldier 76 comes around with his visor. I've got you in my sights. And then you grab him with the vice and you throw him into a room and say, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of line of sight of my team. So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool thing. So it's a mace that opens up into a gripping tool. Yeah. Right-click for this character would be a high-density shield. Now this would be similar to Reinhardt's shield, mixed with D.Va's defense matrix, because what people have said is that we need something to give an option so we don't have to run D.Va on every goddamn, match. So this gives an option to both Reinhardt and D.Va, if you can believe it. It puts out a circular shield, as you see in this second image here. That's not a bubble around him, that's a shield in front of him. Now, what would happen is this shield would take damage, like Reinhardt's shield. It's a basic shield, blocking damage. And also, it works a bit like the defense matrix, because if somebody fires a projectile into the shield, like if Zarya fires her ult into the shield, or if Hanzo fires his ult into the shield, the ult sticks to the shield. Now, what does this mean? This means that if Zarya fires her ult into the shield, it sticks on the shield and is basically inert. It's just sitting there on the shield stuck. You can turn away from your team, drop your shield, and drop the ult, somewhere safe. It's basically frozen until you let your shield down, and then you can, drop the ult where you want. If Hanzo fires his ult into the shield, the arrow would basically, stick into the shield, like if you were eating it with a defense matrix. But what you would do then is you would turn again. You would turn to where it would be safe, and you would let your shield down, and the dragons would then appear, like the ult was being normally fired, except it would be in the direction you were guiding it when you turned. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Picture this shield, picture this circular shield, and someone fires their ult into the shield. Now with D.Va, the ult is just wasted. D.Va just eats the ult, okay? But with this character, the ult is frozen. The ult is in stasis. It still is there, it just isn't doing anything. And the minute Meltdown drops his shield, the ult goes on as normal. So that means that if you have Hanzo's arrow stuck in the shield, his ultimate arrow stuck in the shield, it doesn't do anything, there's no dragons, it's frozen. And Meltdown can basically look directly at the ground, release his shield, and the dragons will then, be released up straight into the air above Meltdown, because he basically has changed the angle of the ult and then released it from stasis. Now, if Meltdown's shield is broken while he has an ult frozen in it, of course the ult would then just proceed as normal. So, you got to be careful with this. You got to make sure your shield isn't broken or about to break, otherwise the ult is just going to be released anyway. So yeah, think of it like a stasis shield that freezes ults in place and can, deliver them less effectively, make them less harmful by dropping the shield appropriately when you're facing the right way. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't make sense, I can discuss it more in the comments below. Just think of it like sticky flypaper that traps ults, and you'll be halfway there. The shift ability is Liftoff. Liftoff is a basic rocket jump. It's similar to Pharah's boost when she presses shift. You don't get to hold the spacebar to hover, though. You're not flying around. It just is basically a simple boost to get you up to the next level of a building, or maybe to close distance with an enemy. Or maybe even to go after the enemy Pharah. Maybe you go after the enemy Pharah by using the Liftoff boost, and then using your E ability to grab Pharah out of the air with your Vice. It basically is simply a movement, mobility ability. Sort of like D.Va with her, charge forward, or Reinhardt with his charge forward, except you're basically getting like a boost jump. Pretty simple. His ultimate, Meltdown's ultimate, which you see in the last image here, he can release the nuclear core from his chest. This is called Demon Core. When you release the power core, it explodes, sort of like D.Va's bomb. So he can stand there, his chest shield opens up, his chest plate, the shielding, opens up, and out comes the Demon Core. The power core comes out of his chest. and after a moment it explodes like D.Va's ult. Now what makes this different, though, is that your teammates can move the core around. So Meltdown can release the demon core outside of the objective, and Lucio can boop the demon core like up over a wall or into the objective in another way, essentially allowing you to control where your ult is placed by having your other teammates, move it around. Your Reinhardt, the Reinhardt on your team, would be able to pin and charge your core into the enemy team. Different things like that. So yeah, I mean, one thing with D.Va's ultimate is that when D.Va's ultimate is put out there, everybody kind of runs and hides. So with Meltdown's ultimate, when he throws out the demon core, when he throws out his power cell, basically, if everybody runs and hides, if you have like a Lucio on your team or whatever, he can sort of look and see where people hid, and then like use his ability to boop the demon core into the room where they all hid, different stuff like that. And of course it explodes on a timed basis, One thing I was thinking of, because this is kind of powerful, and a lot of ults have sort of like a payoff, they have a trade-off, like a downside to the ult. What would happen is, since you're ejecting your power core, Meltdown would like depower for a moment, like he would be like inoperable because he has no power, and you would gradually gain power back. So you would press Q, you would ult and throw out the nuclear power cell, and you would sort of depower, like, and be like, immobile for like a split second, and then you would gradually start moving faster and get back into the action. So yeah, it sort of is like giving up your power cell for the ultimate and leaving yourself vulnerable for a couple seconds as you power down, and then you move a bit slowly as you get back into the action. So yeah. The passive for Meltdown is called Cleanup. Now, what does this Omnic do? As I said, this Omnic handles nuclear material safely and efficiently. So with the Cleanup passive, Meltdown would drop his core where he last died. So if you kill Meltdown, he's going to leave the core behind on the ground. And when you respawn as Meltdown, you'd be able to walk back to where you died, pick up your old core, the one from where you just died, and that would give you a non-recoverable health boost. It would push your health over your normal amount, and it wouldn't be recoverable. You wouldn't heal it back. It would just be like a bonus amount of health on top of what you had. It's sort of like in Dark Souls, where you go back and you retrieve your souls on the ground, or like Reaper's old ability where he used to pick up souls. If you go back to where you died and pick up your old core, you get a boost of health above the normal health you would have. Now the core, of course, dissipates after a set amount of time, so you would have to respawn and then walk back and get to where your core was and pick it up quickly to get that health boost. So yeah, that is Meltdown. I think he's got a really cool set of abilities. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I'm not very good at laying out explanations without losing a lot of people and confusing the hell out of everybody. So if you didn't understand something, let me know in the comments below, and I'll work it out with you. But hopefully you guys liked this. Hopefully Meltdown is a cool character that you would like to see in the game. I don't think this is what Meltdown will be at all. If he is even named Meltdown, they may not even name him that. That thing in the leak, or the what do you call it? The teaser may not have even been his name. But I thought it was a cool name, so I wanted to use it. My name is Tormental. If you liked this, please drop a like. I have other videos with other Overwatch characters. Far too many Overwatch character ideas. Yeah. Bye-bye.